There is a college football quarterback that is draft eligible for the 2026 NFL Draft that could be taken by the Pittsburgh Steelers as early as round 1 next spring that nobody is talking about right now. Today on Steelers Talk, we're going to talk about him here on the show and why you should be watching him this college football season. Now, before we get into the content today, guys, let me know down there in the comment section who your guy is when it comes to potential quarterback draft targets for the Steelers next year. Which college quarterback are you hoping becomes a Pittsburgh Steeler in 2026? Which guy is your favorite at this point in time? All right, so now let's get into the guy that we're going to be talking about today, which is Oregon quarterback Dante Moore. And now Oregon hasn't really played anybody to this point in the season, guys, so this might just be fool's gold. But based on the tape that we've been seeing from Dante Moore through the early portions of this season, he looks pretty darn good, guys, and he looks pretty darn clean for a college prospect, getting through his progressions, throwing accurately, awesome arm talent. He's a former 5-star recruit. He's 6'3", so he's more than tall enough. Maybe a little bit slender at 206 pounds, can certainly add some weight. But so far at Oregon, and like I said, they haven't played anybody to this point so far, so a little bit skewed, but 78% completion percentage. He has over 200 passing yards per game with 7 touchdowns to just 1 interception. He really had a phenomenal performance against Northwestern on the road last week. Now, Northwestern sucks, but Dante Moore still played pretty darn well and had some really nice reps, especially on 3rd and long versus Northwestern last weekend. And here's what's encouraging about Dante Moore, and specifically the way that they're using him in this Oregon offense. All right, offensive coordinator there with the Ducks, Will Stein, has been introducing more pro-style kind of concepts for Dante to run compared to the other quarterbacks that have played for the Oregon Ducks over the last 2 seasons. And, of course, both those quarterbacks end up getting taken in the top 3 rounds in the NFL Draft. Both of them were at least a day 2 pick, but Bo Nix, of course, ends up going in the 1st round. And right now he's looking like a bona fide starting quarterback in the league for the Denver Broncos. And Dillon Gabriel is expected to potentially get an opportunity at some point this year for the Cleveland Browns. All right. And by the way, when Bo Nix and Dillon Gabriel moved to Oregon, and they transferred there, nobody really expected a lot from those guys to be able to go out and become day 2 draft picks or higher. And then because of the development that they have been able to that they were able to do under Oregon and under this offensive coordinator and this coaching staff, they were able to become top flight quarterback prospects in the NFL Draft. And it seems like Dante Moore could be the next line here of Oregon quarterback that could be making that surprise jump this season after a big year of development. Now, Dante, of course, was a 5-star athlete. He ends up going to UCLA his first season, and he ends up playing, and he doesn't play the best. He goes to Oregon last year and sits behind Dillon Gabriel, and then this year it was his turn. And man, I just come away super impressed with this young man on film. His arm talent is insane. He can throw on the run. He can throw with different arm angles. He's got really good arm strength. He's got really clean and quick upper body mechanics, which leads to really consistent accuracy, and his mental processing was really, really impressive, guys. The fact that this Oregon offense is now introducing more pro-style concepts when they weren't doing it with current pro quarterbacks, with Bo Nix and Dillon Gabriel, tells me that they have supreme confidence in this young man's ability to get through full field progression reads, and he put that on full display on the film last week versus Northwestern. Then also Dante's known as a kind of a clutch performer. If you give him a drive to go down the field and win the game, his leadership and his clutch ability has been something that has been very highly touted by the coaching staff there at Oregon. Now the cons is that he's not the best athlete in the world. He's not going to run all over the place on you. He's going to be more of a pick you apart with his brain and with his arm type of quarterback. He does have a bit of a lighter frame, and you always worry about injuries for quarterbacks that are sitting at around 200 pounds, so he's certainly slender, needs to add some weight there. And then the playmaking upside, he can make throws on the run. He had a really nice play where he stepped up in the pocket, a nice pocket adjustment on the 3rd down, and then found an open receiver on the run versus Northwestern last weekend. So it's not that he doesn't provide anything out of structure. It's just not as much as some of the other quarterbacks, the top flight guys that you're going to see in this quarterback class next year. And you take a look at Oregon's schedule for the rest of the way here. He's going to be playing in the Civil War versus Oregon State this weekend, and then he's got a really tough stretch there, 2 games. And really that Penn State game 2 weekends from now and then the Indiana game are going to be the biggest stretch of his season. If he can ball out against both of those really good football teams, both those teams are ranked in the top 20 right now. Like, that's going to be huge in terms of his draft stock, in terms of maybe his Heisman odds, all that different stuff. So those 2 games will be huge for Moore's stock. And if he can really light it up against those 2 caliber of defenses, not to mention he's going to be playing against Iowa's defense, which is pretty good. Minnesota's defense is pretty darn good as well. He's certainly going to have some opportunities to really impress in the Big Ten this year. And it certainly seems like Oregon is the type of team that could be playing in the Big Ten championship game, in the college football playoffs. And he's going to have some opportunities to show off some of that clutch ability as well in big-time moments and in big games. So definitely keep your eye on Dante Moore. I've been really impressed with his film so far this year, guys, and let me know down there in the comment section who will be the round 1 quarterback in this year's draft that nobody saw coming. I think everybody, all the names that were thrown around there preseason was Arch Manning, Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, LaNorris Sellers. I don't know if a lot of people talked about Dante Moore. Is there somebody else that you think could sneak in there? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. In just a second here, we're going to tell you about our sponsor today at Mando Whole Body Deodorant. And while I'm telling you about Mando today, let me know the round 1 quarterback that you think sneaks in there that nobody was talking about during the preseason. All right, so now let's talk about our sponsor today at Mando Whole Body Deodorant. And guys, you know the feeling where it's game day and you've been working hard all week and it's hot outside if you're watching the game outside or if you're at a barbecue or something. You're wearing your lucky jersey and you're sweating a lot and you might be smelling a little too lucky, if you know what I'm saying, in that lucky jersey. So let's be honest here, guys. Regular deodorant just doesn't cut it. And after a long day, things can get pretty right. But there's a real game changer, Mando Deodorant Plus Sweat Control. This isn't just another cover-up, guys. Mando is one stick that does 2 jobs, powerful odor and sweat control. It actually stops odor before it even starts, and there's no more masking, just freshness. This isn't your typical deodorant, guys. It's clinical strength, 2 times better than controlling sweat than the standard deodorant. It controls both sweat and odor for 72 hours. And just after 12 hours, underarm sweat was reduced by 92%. This stuff really works, guys, which is why I use Mando deodorant every single day. I brought my own stick here just to prove it to you guys that, yes, we actually do use these products that we show to you guys here on the show. And Mando is absolutely fantastic. I also use their body wash. I love the bourbon leather scent here, guys, because it's really masculine, but it makes you smell fresh all day long. And I absolutely love the fact that this stuff actually works. So Mando Starter Pack is perfect for people that want to try out Mando products because it comes with a solid stick of deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Plus, as a special offer for our listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide, plus you get free shipping. That's shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Mando's got you covered with deodorant plus sweat control, so say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness with our friends at Mando Whole Body Deodorant today. Another name to watch out there in the college football ranks that I think that is worth watching out there that could be a Pittsburgh Steeler next season is Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza. He's had a really good start to his Indiana tenure. First week was a little bit shaky, but the last 2 weeks have been really good. Now, he hasn't really played anybody. Indiana, kind of like Oregon, hasn't played anybody yet. So he's going to have a little bit of a gauntlet coming up here over these next 3 weeks. We'll talk about that in a second. But to this point, Fernando Mendoza, over 72% completion percentage, over 230 passing yards a game. Remember, he's being taken out of these games a little bit early because, they're just boat racing these guys. 10 touchdowns to no interceptions, so he's protecting the football well as well. And last week, Mendoza, I was watching the film. I think it was against Indiana State, and it's not a great opponent, but he was throwing some really great tight window throws. And a tight window throw is a tight window throw, guys. It doesn't matter if it's against Alabama or Indiana State. If you're fitting the ball into really tight windows, that really shows a level of anticipation, that shows a level of arm strength, that shows a level of arm talent. And Mendoza certainly has a lot of that. He played a really good season last year with the California Golden Bears, the same school that Aaron Rodgers went to, by the way. And I really like his mental processing speed. I mean, like his ability to get through progressions, full field progressions, really good, just like Dante Moore's. But I actually think his arm might be a little bit stronger than Moore's. He's got just a straight up cannon for an arm. Kind of a shot put type of release that's just, I mean, it just looks like a laser when he releases it. Really quick release as well. I think he's got some pretty good pocket presence as well. He knows how to maneuver the pocket. He doesn't leave the pocket too much. He's more of a true pocket passer, but he did deal with some injuries at Cal because he just got hit so much. He took a lot of sacks as well. He can hold on to the ball for a bit too long, so if the Steelers draft him and can't protect him, that might be a big issue early on in his career here. And then also a lack of playmaking upside. He does have a little bit of athleticism to work with, but he does really prefer to sit in the pocket and do those things. And, of course, there's the Cal connection and all that stuff, but Mendoza really reminds me a lot of Jared Goff when he was in college. A very similar type of throwing style, similar to Goff. He's got an absolute cannon and can throw it down the middle and can throw it with touch as well. I really like Mendoza's play style. It's not the most flashy, and you are going to have to put help around him like Goff needs with the Detroit Lions. You need help around Jared Goff for him to be a successful NFL quarterback. But, most quarterbacks need help, right? Unless you have like a Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and even those guys have a little bit of help, right? So Mendoza's the type of guy where I like the mental processing, I like the release, I like the arm talent, and if he's there, I wouldn't mind taking him in the first round if he continues on this trajectory. But he's going to have to prove it, man. Like I said, he hasn't played anybody at Indiana yet, but that's going to change over the next several weeks. He's got a big-time matchup versus the Fighting Illini this weekend. Then he plays a tough defense against Iowa in Iowa. Then you go on the road against Oregon. I mean, Dante Moore versus Fernando Mendoza. You guys need to be watching that game, by the way, if you're looking for the future quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Michigan State traditionally has a pretty decent defense as well. And then you get Penn State later in the season as well. So we're going to see Mendoza in the Big Ten. We're going to see what he can do. And kind of like Dante Moore, Indiana will probably be in position to maybe make the college football playoff again. They made it with Curtis Rourke last year. Mendoza's a hell of a lot better than Rourke. It's the second year of a new regime there in Bloomington. So very excited to see what this Hoosier team is going to be able to do with Mendoza under center. Now, what I'll say here, guys, my updated round one QB list that you guys need to be keeping your eye out here for. All these guys, I think there's a realistic chance that they could become Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, obviously, as the season goes on, guys crystallize as like top 5, top 3, top 10 kind of guys. Maybe the Steelers have a little bit of a lesser chance of getting these guys, but Garrett Nussmeier, LaNorris Sellers, I don't think that teams are going to be able to shy away from his physical traits if he comes out. Same thing goes for Drew Allar, especially with the successes of kind of raw quarterback prospects like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, all these guys that turned up. Same thing with Justin Herbert as well. I don't think people are going to be able to say no to Drew Allar in round one. Fernando Mendoza certainly seems like he's on a round one track. Maybe he's not a top 5 guy, but I certainly think he could be drafted round one. And then John Mateer from Oklahoma, man. Like, he has been an absolute firecracker these first few weeks in college football. He's definitely got the Heisman hype around him right now with his ability to run the football. He's got crazy arm talent. We'll see how his season crystallizes here. But I would say at this point in time, these 5 quarterbacks all have a chance to be taken by the Pittsburgh Steelers in round one next spring. And then some sneaky round one QBs that still need a little bit more to prove before I put them on my bona fide round one list. But Dante Moore, who we talked about today, I think has a legitimate chance to prove himself this season. He's got significant arm talent, really good mental processing ability. That's the stuff that I care about in terms of getting the next franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Certainly has the arm strength to get it done. And then Carson Beck is another guy that could sneak back into the round one conversation. Has looked really in control there in Miami. But there's always going to be people wondering, what happened that final season at Georgia, and can you handle the pressure of the NFL if you couldn't handle it in the SEC? That's always going to be a question that kind of clouds his draft evaluation, but he's looked damn good to start his Hurricane career, so keep your eye on him. And then some guys that I would say are long shots to be round one guys at this point. Cade Klubnik, came into the season as the consensus number 1 player in this class, has had a really rough start to the season. Clemson's 1-2. He's been a big reason why they've lost those 2 games. He has not looked good, but he does have the physical skill set. If he can turn it around, maybe he gets back in that conversation. Sam Leavitt had a lot of hype coming into this year. He's had some good, some bad to start this season, so keep your eye on Leavitt. Jalon Daniels, we've talked about on the show before, very athletic player. And then same thing with Taylen Green from Arkansas. Those guys are really going to have to be special down the stretch here. And then Rocco, Becht, and Josh Hoover are guys that are uninspiring physical talents, but are really good at distributing the football, really accurate, good mental processors. So keep your eye on those guys as the college football season continues. All right, that's going to be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk here, talking about the college football quarterback landscape here as the Steelers continue to prepare to take their next franchise quarterback. If you made it to the end of today's show, type real one down there in the comments section. If you made it to the end of today's show, it takes a real sicko to watch to the end of a video for a draft video that, the draft is not, it's like 8 months away, right? So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're going to try and keep you guys updated on what's going on with these top quarterback draft targets all throughout the 2025 season. So if you guys want more of those updates, click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Till next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.